Well, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever the hell holiday it is. Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome to the professor. Last class of this year. I'll give you the scoop on silver. Just a second. So, what's going on? Well, the banks, they play the same stupid game that they play at the end of the month where they just lower them with like the 10 o'clock drop and they just lower it to get a better mark so they look better. I don't know. Not being a banker, not understanding this bullshit paper market. I just sit there like, it's got nothing to do with physical, so I don't really care. As we'll see, the physical market is out of control. It's $84 in China. It's $80 in Saudi Arabia and Dubai. And then we got our abortion of $72 on COMEX, which is absolutely meaningless. It's just options. It's got nothing to do with physical, nothing to do with the market. So keep in mind, now it should skyrocket on Friday because it's so cheap. People need it. They're going to buy it. So, and you can't have 84 in physical and 72 in paper. The fact that they don't have any physical in COMEX, I really don't know how they're going to handle that. Just a second, let me get my pita. So, anyway, to get to, Alyssa calls me in the morning at like 8:30, and I'm just getting up, and can you come get me? I says, well, I got to go to the pool because it closes early. I said, I can come get you right after. Okay, so I go to the pool, and then I get there real early. I'm done by 10 with everything, including the hot tub and the shower. I'm driving to go get her, and she said, well, wait, no, I'm gonna do my counselor thing, which I really don't believe because it's New Year's Eve. Let's see if this is her. Probably. Nope. So I'm waiting to hear from her, but you can see how calm I am, right? This is being stoic, and this is being intelligent, and this is understanding who I'm dealing with. She does Alyssa first, everybody else second. So you do accept that or you don't accept it. If you do accept it, then you're fine. Most people get mad at that. Oh, she told me to call and she told me to, I went swimming early. Being the professor, I always have plan B, which was always plan A in the first place. Go to the pool because they close early, then teach, then we'll watch football, then we'll go play poker tonight. We got the Miami Ohio State game tonight, and that was your free play. Go under. I think the spread's way too high. I think the under's strong plot, and then the 9.5. I think 15.5. I might play it that way. Also, is too much, but there won't be a lot of points. No, will Carson back play? I mean, he was clutch. He played for Georgia, so it's not like he hasn't been in big games. So I'm not too worried about him. I just think points will be at a premium. I know it'll be under. You would think Miami has a good chance to win. Holding Texas A&M the way they held them. Now, granted, there was some wind, but still. Anyway, we'll see. So that's plan. That's kind of plan A minus. So the key is you don't get mad at Alyssa for come get me. Oh, don't come get me, because I really know what's going on, and it's like fine. When you need me, you call. So I'm her like her. If I need somebody, I'll call Howard. And that's what I understand. So I don't get upset. And it's like we'll meet when we meet, and I'm fine with that. Anyway, heard from Daria. Happy New Year in Russia. We got to use Telegram because WhatsApp is blocked in Russia. Amazingly enough. I don't know what Putin's thinking, but he's ready to nuke and go to war with Europe, which makes me, how do I vacation in Europe when it might not be there? I might get nuked. So I got to think and wait a little bit. Russia's won the war, but NATO and the U.S. think that they can keep Russia involved and bankrupt them, or I don't know, just keep them in a long war. Wars aren't good for countries. The biggest reason people go to war is to steal the natural resources of the country they're going to. So like Hitler went and stole the gold, went to Russia to get their oil, went to North Africa to get the oil. The U.S. is in Venezuela for their oil and gold. They're trying to get the oil and gold from Russia, which Russia's not. You can't do it. They're trying to steal the natural resources from the Ukraine, and Russia's saying, not in my city, you're not. And that's what this is about, is trying to wear them down and try to steal the gold and oil because we're broke. So it just shows you we're broke. And it's the same thing, COMEX. COMEX, for the silver to drop as much as it dropped, just shows you that they don't have any. It's broke. So they're doing what they did yesterday is what they did last week. They did another margin call. So they raised margin from 10 to 20 and now up to whatever, 30 or whatever. Who cares? We don't use margin. We don't use paper, so we don't really care. We're not idiots, which will take us to another video about idiots. We're very, very rare. Most people are idiots in the fact that they don't question anything. If you say today's Tuesday, okay, even though it's Wednesday. Oh, the sky's black. Oh, okay. No, well, the sky's really blue. So you're having this big issue about what's really going on. So is this Alyssa saying, okay, I'm ready? It took me too long at my clinic because of my counselor. I'm sorry. Let's hang out tomorrow morning. And I don't when I have to go tomorrow. I don't want to be rushing, and I have to get my girls ready to go see my mom. Um, Tomorrow we'll be ready at my mom's house, so I won't have to worry about a sitter. Okay. Just a second. All right. So again, I could have got mad at her for not, and then I didn't. She says, we'll meet tomorrow. I don't have everything will be closed. So I drop the kids off at my mom's and I'll be closer. And then we could go. We don't need a babysitter because my mom will meet early. And I'm like, perfect. Because the pool is open early again tomorrow, but not a problem. Profit margin. Hey, professor, when is Comex going to end these margin calls? It's over. You're seeing the last thing. Once we hit January, it's all done. King Julius Teaser. Thank you, Ken. You behold. I got to think of, I'll just call you Behold, I think. That's appropriate. Thank you. Good morning. Happy New Year. Yeah, that's what they're broke, right? So they're trying to clean out the shorts. And so you're short and you bought on margin because you're an idiot. And then when you bought on margin, it then turns into, well, I don't have to cover, right? Unless I get a margin, unless the price goes down. So what they're doing is the price is here. They're doing a margin call because the price isn't going down, which forces people to sell their positions. So if you're selling, obviously the price goes down, but it's not selling because of no demand. It's selling because of these bullshit Comex crap. That's why you don't buy on margin, and that's why you don't use leverage. Only the idiots do. The greedy, oh, I'm greedy. I want to use leverage. Oh, I can make 10 times the money. These people don't know what they're doing in a highly developed market. Why would you use leverage and short when the demand from bricks is huge? This is it. I think it's closed tomorrow. And then January 2nd will be totally different. Yeah, January 2nd's Friday. So that'll be totally different. And you'll see it. And it's 84 in China right now. And people are trying to buy silver because they need to keep their factories open, are offering 200. In Dubai, it's 80. So who's right? And even that, they're taking it from Comex. You got to get rid of Comex and get to a real market. And that's where I'm 500, right? So I finally bought my Christmas present for myself. I got 5 golden rings, only they're 5 silver rings. These were $76 an ounce. So I got 5 of them. And put them with the rest of the boys. I was just thinking about it. Like, well, I haven't bought myself a Christmas gift, and I couldn't think of a better Christmas gift. 71.72 and 43.26. Again, this trading is extremely light. because most of the people are not there. They're on vacation, right? They're skiing, they're boating, they're going to Europe to try to avoid Putin's missiles. And so therefore, if you trade 1,000 shares, if you sell it, it really goes down a lot. So it's all fixed. It's all fake. It's not a real price. It's because there's nobody there to buy it. However, the Chinese are buying it because it's so cheap, and they don't want the whole thing to collapse. In other words, go to zero, because these people are shorting it. So it's just the banks. You know how at the end of the month, the banks sit there and they go, and we see the dip every end of the month, right? And we see it goes down $2, $3, and you can't explain it. And then next thing you know, it goes back up. Or the 10 o'clock drop, which goes down and then comes back up. Let's see. Did we get the 10 o'clock drop today? Yeah, we're on the 10 o'clock drop now. So it was at 10 o'clock, 43.50. It's 43.26. Let's see what silver did at 10 o'clock. And they're, right at 10 o'clock, 73.42, and it's down to 71.72. Total bullshit, total algorithm crap. And that's what it is. We understand that. We understand it's not real. And the Ponzi scheme ends because they don't have any more physical. And I think all this silver that JP Morgan got was to pay off these shorts, because they're demanding the physical. They don't want to get paid in dollars. So they need 25,000 tons to pay off the silver, the shorts, because they're asking for delivery. So that's what that is. It doesn't really matter to us, but so again, I'm buying at 76 yesterday. I think it was about 2 or 3 o'clock, because I was on the way to the pool, and that's when I got it. So it was about then, and then it started. So 76, I'm fine. I'm not worried about it. So I'm standing there at the counter waiting. It was pretty crowded. Most people were buying silver because they're starting to realize the light's starting to go on, going, shit, this thing keeps going up. Maybe I should buy it. So we'll have a few stories on the gold store. So this couple's buying. They're buying 10 ounces here and 10 ounces there. And I go, you're smart. You're buying physical. Anyway, so they bought it was between a 10-ounce bar and 10 ounces. I didn't say a word, but he said, well, this way, if you want to sell 2 or 3 ounces, you can do it. Otherwise, you're going to sell the bar. You got to sell all 10 ounces. And if you think the price is going up, you don't want to sell 10 ounces. You want to sell 2 or 3 maybe. So anyway, I didn't say a word, but I would have bought, and it depends on your position. I would have bought the bar because I have quite a few ounces. I bought the ounces because I just bought 5. And I got a few bars, but mostly I got the ounces. So then some other lady comes in with her husband. They're next to me waiting. We start talking a little, and I said, well, that's good. You're buying physical. I don't want to pry too much, but I do. You're at a gold store, so you get it. And the husband goes to me, so what do you think it's going to be at the end of next year? I says, well, it'll be at least 500. But I don't know. It could be 1,000, but it's conservatively 500. And he says, well, what do you think it'll get to? I said, well, it'll go to at least 1,000. It could be next year, maybe the year after. But once this runs, it's 1,000's very conservative. And he's like, I don't know if it'll get to 1,000. And I go, what's going to stop it? The demand's there. Demand isn't going away because all these products need silver to make. And you close your factory. If you don't have silver for the phone, you close it. You can't sell it. So they're going to buy silver if it's 500 an ounce. The demand will move it up. The fact the dollar's worthless. Now, this is the part nobody gets, is the dollar's worthless. Well, I can still go to Kroger's and yeah. And what is your $100 buy? 6 items. So anyway, I mean, these I got on sale for $1. I bought a bunch of them, but my dark chocolates are now like $5.69. So I don't buy 2. I bought 1, get 1 half off. So I bought 2. but I'm not paying $569 for that. So I ended up paying like $370 a piece or something. Um, but anyway, most of the prices are not. It's the dollar dropping in value, and that's what you have to understand. If you keep printing that, let's put it this way. Let's say I made you a steak, and that first steak would be good, and you love it. But then I brought out two steaks. The second one would be okay. Well, let's say I made five steaks for you. By the third steak, you don't want to eat it. I had it. Okay, I've been there. Well, that's what money is. It's you print it and it's okay, but then as you keep over printing, it's not worth anything. And as we keep printing, because we need to print, because we need to pay all these expenses, that's what I say, the interest on the debt and the government employees. That's why you can't have all these government employees. How government doesn't produce revenue. It's not a company. I make this coffee mug. I cost me $5. I sell it for 10. It's a business. They make revenue. I can have employees that I can pay with my profits from making the cup, or making my Canadian club, or making the phone, or selling the avocados. What does the government do? Nothing. There's no product they make, which you'd have to figure out is why don't they make a product? But they have a lot of payroll. So they have to pay the people who don't produce anything. So there's all this expense, no revenue. Well, where do I get it from? Well, I got to print the money for it, right? I got to create money out of thin air and go to the Fed and say, print me money. And that's how I do it. Well, the money I printed where's that coming from? It's not worth anything, and it's overproduced. So this is the problem with the government, the debt. You got $1 trillion a year. Where do you get that money from? Well, we're going to have to print it. And where do we get money for Medicare and Social Security, which should be in my name, but it isn't? Oh, we got to print that. Okay, so all these, and then the defense contractors, we have to give them their kickbacks. So you end up with all this money that you have to print because you don't have it, because you're not a revenue source. And taxes are not revenue. That's me and you working, and then they're stealing our money and calling it taxes. What a bunch of bullshit Ponzi scheme that is. And it only came in 1913 with the Federal Reserve. It was never here before. You worked in the 1870s, 1880s, there was no income tax. None. You go to work, and by the way, the money was backed by gold, and you had laws, and that's why that was the most productive time in the history of the life. Was like 1820 to 1913, and the Fed came in and ruined everything. Let's do income tax. Oh yeah, everybody wants that. And then they start, well, we'll just start printing money. Well, it's unconstitutional. It should never have come in. But that's JP Morgan again, the biggest scammer in the world. And they run the country. And that's why whatever they do is fine, because you can't arrest yourself. And it just shows you how weak the government is and what type of JP Morgan. And they're the ones doing these COMEX shorts and changing the game. We're going to do margin call. Well, let's raise it again. Just fucking raise it to 100%. Why have margin calls if you're not going to go? We don't care, because only idiots are buying options on margin call and derivatives. The real smart players, AKA our class, we go buy physical. I bought 5 ounces of physical. Cost me roughly $350. And I don't owe anything. It's bought. It's paid with cash, 100% for the physical. I didn't go on margin call for it. I didn't buy a contract. So I have it. I own it. And you can't take it. So we have the silver export ban. China will not export silver out. Mexico will not export. All the players with silver, Russia, will not export their silver. So how are you going to get it? Which is going to make the price go to the moon and back. That's really the key. There is no. There's a very low supply, but at least, we can go to China and get some. China's not letting it out. I think they will at the right price, but they're just saying, hey, we're not we're not going to export our silver. And I believe even the U.S., who doesn't own any, is doing. We don't have any silver mines here. I think we used to in like Nevada, but I don't know what's happening with that. So yes, we see the silver mine go down, or we see the silver price drop, but it's bullshit, right? It's not real. It's not dropping because of no demand. So if I have no demand for the avocados, the price goes down. And that's the only reason price drops is no demand. Well, let me sell my Canadian club. I'll sell it at $100 because it's 12 years old in 1997. I don't get any buyers. Oh, well, then I got to lower my price. Because I have no demand, I have to lower my price. But if I got 100 people wanting this because it's very rare because it's 12-year-old, then the price goes up. What do we have in gold and silver? Why would the price come down? And this is what nobody seems to understand is they see COMEX and the price go up and they see the price go down. They don't know it's because of these margin calls that are bullshit. Be careful with this AI guy, okay? Mr. Fuji here. He talks out of both ends of his mouth. Let's see. So like this guy, Mr. Fuji, he likes throwing salt in people's eyes. Well, he's AI. So I've heard him say, oh, silver's going to go up today because it's the end of the year and the portfolio managers want to show a profit. And then out of the other side of his mouth, he says, well, it's going down because the banks have to have this ratio and they got to have more dollars than gold and silver. So they're selling it. So what the fuck? Which one is it, fella? But what he doesn't understand is he says, well, people will sell their gold and silver because the price is going down. What's he's talking about? So let's say I went and sold 50 ounces to my guy. Well, that's sitting at the store. He's selling it to other people. The banks aren't going to get that. We're not running to the bank with 50 ounces of silver selling it because the price went down and I better get out before it goes down. It doesn't work that way. I go to the store and that's it. Now, yesterday at the gold store, so I'm telling the guy $500 silver, he has no gold. And I said to him, why aren't you getting gold? He says, well, I have to order 10 ounces, which would be $45,000. And I said, well, I thought you said it was walking out the door as soon as you had it. But now it's like, well, it's too expensive. People are only buying one ounce here and there. He says, I'm not getting anybody selling it. So what happened before is it hit 2,500, 3,000. Mom and pop would walk in going, oh, it's at the all-time paper high. I'm going to sell my physical and get 2,500 for it. So he was getting 20, 30 ounces in a week. And then I'd come in and buy it. Right. Thank you. And as it's got to 4,500 now, people are realizing, yeah, maybe now either they've already sold it all at 2,500 like idiots, or they're like, I'm not going to sell like us because it's going to go up to 10 grand. I'm not sure which one it is, but he doesn't have it because he only gets it when people sell to him. He doesn't want to buy the 10 ounces from the treasury because that's $45,000. And he says, well, it's just not moving. And I look at him like, I don't know, what do you, I thought you told me it was as soon as you got it, it was going out the door. And now you're telling me it's not moving. Which one is it? So I think as the prices are going up, the problem with people, they don't understand. We know the price is going to 10. Why? Because of demand. Because we got to get out of the dollar. We understand what's going on. We understand the boat hit the iceberg, the water's coming in, the boat's going to sink. We understand the dollar is being heavily inflated. They keep printing, which makes it worth nothing. And so we don't have a choice. We have to trade our dollars for something. And we can't go into other dollars, so we go into gold and silver. It's a no-brainer. You have to do that. And we're watching the price go up. And that's what it is. By the way, real quickly, I did take Vanderbilt today. I know the game starts at noon, and played it with Miami of Florida, which is your free play. So uh, again, we'll do that for noon. And I looked at pro. We'll get to football in a minute, but because Vanderbilt's starting soon, I took Vandy. It's down to 3. I took +3. Daggio is playing, so quick note. And that's yesterday's video. I think I like Vanderbilt, but if you bought the picks, I added that pick. Anyway, so it's getting too expensive, but people don't realize it's not. People don't know what to do because they don't understand it's all been paper derivatives, not physical market. So they see the price of 4,500 and they're going, "Oh, geez, what do I do? How high is it going? It's gone up a lot. I don't want to buy at 4,500. What if it goes back to 2,000 or 2,500? These people are called idiots, right? Well, so I says, educate him. He says, I don't have time to educate him. And he had a ton of silver buyers because Mr. AI is calling for $100 silver physical, and it's at 78. And you've got to be careful with AI. It can be fixed to say what it wants to say. It can't analyze. Like I say, it doesn't understand inflation, and it's totally missing this whole thing. He kind of explains COMEX from an AI standpoint what it is, but he doesn't get, what's really happening. So he's misleading people. He's looking at two sides, right? So keep that in mind. Just be careful with what he says. So he does explain COMEX pretty well. I'm going, oh, okay. Like we all know, well, it's going down because of margin call, but I'm sure we could have found that in other videos. But just be careful with him. We need to understand it without him, right? Because we can't listen to him if he doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. So with that being said, people are scared to buy the gold at the 4,500 for fear it's going to go down. Instead of understanding it's the inflation, it can't go down. It's just going to keep going up and up and up. By the way, China's got 80,000 tons. So that's why we keep buying, but we were smart enough to be 5 steps ahead and buy it at 1,700 and buy it at 1,800 and basically exhaust all our money under $2,000. And now we're just sitting back going, go up. Yeah, at 4,300, 4,500, 5,000, 10,000. We've already bought, right? And that's why I bought quarter ounces and tenth of an ounces, because I want to buy something. I just want to keep buying gold. And he didn't have ounces to buy. So I buy the tenth of an ounce because I want to buy gold. So we understand that price is way too low and going to go up because it's been suppressed. And that's why I'm shooting for 20, 30,000 is because when you suppress the price, the demand would be much higher as it runs. And we're going to see the run now because of these Basel III and China and Russia and BRICS wanting a gold-backed currency, the U.S., the euro, the British pound, the Canadian all collapsing, having no value. Well, everybody's Japanese, Chinese, Russian, all their dollars are collapsing. So that will go to zero. And that's the key. So as all that goes to zero, what do you go to? The lifeboat. In our world, it's gold and silver. So how can the price go down? You're going to keep having demand. As long as you have demand, price goes up. You want to buy a Mantle card? It's going to go up. Man, Montana's Rookie, the Canadian Club, anything that is limited. Now the shirt, right? This can stay at $20, even if there's strong demand, because you can make more and it doesn't affect the price. It doesn't hurt the value. However, with gold and silver, you can't make more. You can't inflate it. You can't print it. You can't copy it. You have to dig it out of the ground, and it's all dug out of the ground. There's a little bit left that they dig out, but mostly it's dug out. And therefore, the supply is very limited, but the demand is still high, which will create a higher price. So how can the price go down? Do we see demand dropping? No. And it's the only way price goes down is if nobody wants it. As I say, if nobody wants to buy this, it's worth zero. But if 100 people want my one bottle, I'm going to get $1,000 for it. Well, that's how gold is. Everybody wants gold because you have to get out of the dollar. Now, as people start realizing the Titanic's sinking, the dollar's worthless, and they look around, the only option will be gold and silver. They'll get murdered in the stock market, and they get murdered in the real estate trust, and even these Caesars real estate trusts that they do, they'll all get murdered in them, which will leave you with gold and silver. Well, I'll buy Bitcoin. Yeah, good luck on that. It's not even that real. It's not backed by anything. So you'll get crushed in that. So anywhere you go, you're going to get crushed except for gold and silver. So therefore, to buy it at 4,500, why would you think it's going to go down? So what would cause it to go down? Nothing. Not physical. The paper's going down, as we're saying, as Prophet's saying, because of the margin calls. So the paper gold and silver are going down because of margin calls, which has nothing to do with physical. And you're suppressing the price, but it's still hanging in there at 72, 73. And we know it's going back to 80. It ran up to 82. It'll go back there. Again, once the traders come in, they're going to eat this up because it's going to be so cheap. So again, it's if there's no demand, the price would go down, but there's huge demand. And then to add that for silver, you have the auto companies, the solar panel companies, the cars, the train, the planes, the cell phones, the computers, all needing silver to complete their product. It's not a big part of it, but it must be included to get your computer or your phone. They have to have some silver because it's good for electronic stuff. So therefore, they have to have it or they shut the factory down. Well, they're not going to go out of business. So the demand's huge. And then us getting out of paper, going into silver. Now, we prefer to go into gold, but the problem is gold's 4,500. Silver's now like 72, 73. It's funny, the guy did not charge me premium. So I'm watching the AI, Mr. Fuji. He's the wrestling manager. He throws salt in the guy's eyes. Japanese guy. He was a wrestler. He turned manager. So I like they're all Mr. Fuji's, the Asians, and so he's talking. I lost my train of thought when I hit Mr. Fuji. But that's where these margin calls are causing this drop, not physical. So anyway, yeah, I think it's I'm rumbling around a little because I lost train of thought, but it's the demand will be there because there's nothing. You gotta get silver. You can't substitute it. You can't go to copper or nickel. So if you got to use silver, and you're going to pay whatever price to keep the factory lights on, that's going to make it. And then as gold goes up, gold will get too expensive and you'll have to buy silver. Now, most people don't understand this. Most people don't understand the dollar is worthless. And most people don't understand you go to gold and silver because they see COMEX and they don't understand COMEX. So if you don't understand COMEX, then when you see the price drop as you're seeing it, you don't get it. Oh, well, what if the price drops? Which is a good point, but all right, so the price drops because of margin calls. not because of no demand. But everybody's tired of COMEX. So as it breaks, because they don't have physical for the people who, so when China buys the short from JP Morgan and they say, I want delivery, JP Morgan has to have the physical silver or they're screwed. And so that's why they got a lot of silver is so China says, give me the delivery. And you don't want to fuck with China. You don't want to fuck with Russia. So as they do it, it ends up creating, it creates the demand that we need to make the price go up. And as long as that demand's there, as long as people need silver, and as long as COMEX doesn't have it, so now you got to buy physical and everybody's scared because they don't understand it, they then buy, give me a ton. So they're all buying a lot of silver before the price goes up and before the supply's out, because then they got to shut down the factory. But for our purposes, as gold gets to 7, 8, 10,000, it starts getting priced out. As the guy's saying at the store, well, people just aren't, they're just buying one here and one there. And I'm going, you don't have any. You had 2 bars of 1 ounce bars, not coins. It says, well, we don't, it's hard to just sell at this price. That's because people don't understand. You got to explain it to them. This isn't even close to the real price. So when I told the guy the price of silver is going to be 1,000, he didn't believe me. But he never asked me why. How do you know? He believed my 500, but 1,000, because he's not hearing it from Mr. Fuji, he doesn't know what to do with it. Because I think outside the box and I understand perfectly what's going on. And I can see the demand's not going to go away. But the margin calls are going away and the whole Ponzi scheme's going away. Excuse me. So as we see COMEX go away, there's nothing to drop the price because it's all fake anyway. It's all like here, it went down because of margin calls. What does that got to do with physical silver? Nobody found any. The demand didn't drop. So it's all bullshit. So as long as we know it's bullshit, we take advantage, and that's why I went and bought 5, right? And that was just a Christmas present. It still cost me like $350, so it wasn't, cheap. And I added it to my collection. I introduced it to the rest of the family, all the other silver players. And my favorite's still the 2 ounce maple leaf. I love that. That's such a pretty silver. Plus, it's 2 ounces. Anyway, so some people are getting the Titanic sinking and they need to get out. They need to buy gold and silver. And a lot of people just don't get it. They see the price up, so they buy because they don't know, but they know the price is going up. And then some people are sleeping. Well, I got 500K in my 401k and I don't want to pay tax. I'm not going to get out. I said, sell half of it and buy gold. Oh, no, I can't do that. Okay, well, watch it go to 0 and oh, well, and the market's like 48,000, and you're like, how can the market possibly be 48,000 in the real world? It's impossible. There's no way it can be 48,000. So people are about to get screwed on the stock market because they try to point out, oh, look how good the economy is because the stock market's good, so the economy must be good. But gold tells you differently. Gold says gold's 4,800. The dollar's worthless. The economy's worthless. Otherwise, the gold would be $5. Nobody would want gold. But by the demand of gold, and again, we don't get the true demand because they keep margin calling and shorting gold and silver to keep the price down. So people don't realize how bad JP Morgan's fucking everybody. JP Morgan's in charge of the government and they're fucking the economy, and that's it. And then you got George Soros, probably works for JP Morgan. They're probably in bed together. And that's what you have. And it's, but if you understand it, you're okay. I mean, it's still got from $1,000 gold to 4,500 gold. It's going to be 5,000 gold. So it's still making its way up, but it's because of BRICS. I did that on LinkedIn. Some gold guys talking, and I said, well, he said the reason it's up is X or Y, and I don't remember. And I said, no, it's up because of BRICS. An asset only goes up because of demand, as I show you with my Canadian club. if somebody wants to buy it, if there's demand for the product or the Mano card or the Montana card, if there's demand, the price goes up. If you don't have demand, the price goes down. As I said 100 times with Canadian Club, if nobody wants it, it's worthless. And the guy's like, well, it's not brick. And I'm like, then what is it? It's totally bricks. You don't get it. He's some director for gold or something. And I just buried him. Don't fuck with the professor on this stuff. You can't win because I know it cold. All right. So all right. So I'm going to show you this idiot video. I have two. One's called The Death of Critical Thinking, and we're the black sheep. And we're going and watching all the white sheep go over the mountain, and we're going, what the fuck? You'll like this. We don't have to get into football right now. We'll get into football. We've talked about the playoffs yesterday. We'll revisit it. And again, there's just the one, the Miami-Ohio State game. That's your free pick. Go under in the game. I got Ohio State 16-13. They'll be lucky to get to 16. All right, so I was watching this. This is the one that people are talking about, this $100 silver in China. So the physical price is 100, and I'm buying it for 76. I'm going, well, I just made $24 an ounce, So, all right, the death of critical thinking. I am a critical thinker. You are critical thinkers because we ask questions. We want to know why gold's going up. Why is COMEX used as the price? Why are these margin calls going on? And that skill of critical thinking, of asking the question, something doesn't smell right, is disappearing. And this is the worry. And this is probably why I can't get jobs, because I sit there and blatantly say on my LinkedIn, I'm a critical thinker. I'm going to ask questions, and they don't want that. They just want people to come in and do their job and shut up. If I tell you to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. If I tell you to add 2 and 2, then you add it. You don't ask, why are you adding 2 and 2? Because that's what I do. Well, why don't I do it this way? So I won't play all of it, but this is a very interesting video for you guys.
And what are your major tips for women over 50? So what I would say to someone who's
dynamic creates constant pressure. There is a precise moment in the history of every civilization where critical thinking ceases to be valued and begins to be treated as a social pathology. It is not a noisy collapse. It is silent, gradual, and accepted as progress. Contemporary society is going through exactly this moment, but with a brutal particularity. For the first time in human history, stupidity is not a consequence of lack of access to knowledge, but a direct result of its excess. We live in an era where billions of people carry entire libraries in their pockets and yet choose intellectual mediocrity as a way of life. This is not an accident. It is architecture. Schopenhauer warned that the task is not so much to see what no one has yet seen, but think what no one has yet thought about what everyone sees. The current problem is that no one thinks about anything anymore. They merely consume, repeat, and dissolve into the uniform mass of prefabricated opinions. The death of critical thinking was not murder. It was collective suicide disguised as the democratization of knowledge. Critical thinking did not disappear due to obsolescence. It was systematically eliminated because it represents the greatest risk to any structure that relies on behavioral predictability. Questioning, analyzing, and suspending immediate judgment are skills that make an individual unsuitable for systems that operate by repetition and conformity. Genuine intelligence creates friction, delay, and resistance in social mechanisms designed for continuous flow and automatic responses. Observe the contemporary educational environment. The predominant model does not teach how to think, it teaches how to respond. There is an abyssal difference between these two mental operations. Thinking requires suspension, doubt, internal confrontation, and self-elaboration. Responding only requires pattern recognition and reproduction of previously established content. The massified educational system produces competent responders, not autonomous thinkers. This is not a flaw, it is a design. The transformation of thinking into a threat occurs across multiple social layers. In the corporate environment, those who question established processes are labeled as problematic, not innovative. In the political sphere, those who analyze contradictions in official narratives are classified as conspirators, not analysts. In the social sphere, those who refuse to immediately adhere to collective causes are seen as insensitive, not prudent. Social punishment for criticism is more effective than any formal censorship. Nietzsche realized that convictions are prisons. Current society has built the largest prison complex in human history, but the bars are invisible because they are made of unquestionable collective certainties. Those who try to escape are not persecuted with violence, but with exclusion. Social ostracism has become the definitive tool for keeping critical thinking neutralized. The fundamental question is not whether people have lost the ability to think critically, but whether they have voluntarily abdicated it in exchange for acceptance and belonging. The answer is disturbing. The majority have chosen the comfort of collective certainty over the anguish of individual investigation, and this changes everything about how we understand contemporary intellectual decline. Stupidity dominates not because it is contagious, but because it is operationally superior in complex systems. A population that does not question does not generate friction. It does not demand justifications. It does not demand transparency. It does not identify contradictions. From an administrative point of view, the absence of critical thinking is the perfect lubricant for the functioning of any power structure. There is a fundamental conceptual confusion between ignorance and stupidity. Ignorance is the absence of knowledge and can be corrected with education. Stupidity is the active refusal to process available information, and not only resists correction, but strengthens with it. Dietrich Bonhoeffer identified this by stating that stupidity is a more dangerous enemy of the good than malice. He observed that against stupidity, rational arguments are useless because the stupid person is not open to reason. They are protected from it. The functionality of stupidity manifests in specific behavioral patterns. People without critical thinking do not face cognitive dissonance because they do not detect contradictions. They can defend mutually exclusive positions without perceiving any inconsistency. This mental...
All right, hold on. I just want to make a few comments. So, isn't that what AI is? It tells you, look at Mr. Fuji here on AI, telling you what we're doing, and we can't really argue with him. He just says, well, this is what's happening with its margin calls. It's this, it's that. And you can't really argue. So that is all you're doing. Oh, that's what he's saying. That's one of the problems with AI, right? There's no back and forth. Like you can ask me questions and I can answer. We can think. That's why I'm so good at football, because I critically think, why did this team win and why did this team lose? And how do I arrive at how do I problem solve the game? So the Bears are playing the Lions this week. How do I figure out who's going to win, or do I go over under and things like that? And that's critical thinking, problem solving, looking at the data and trying to use it to create. I've done it in gold and silver. What do? We look at why is COMEX doing what it's doing? Why are we using COMEX to price it? We are critically thinking there. We're asking the question. Most people are just saying, oh, okay, silver 78 or silver 74, and not really thinking about it and not asking questions. Oh, I better sell, it's going down. I better buy, it's going up, without understanding why it's going up, down. Why did the iceberg sink the Titanic? Why did the water come in? Oh, we better get on the lifeboat. So you understand all the whys because you're thinking, you're problem solving. That's the key to it. And what they're raising now is people using AI, like Mr. Fuji, just, well, this is what's happening there, and physical prices there. And, and he says a lot of untruths, but, oh, today it's going to go up really high because the brokers want to make good commissions, and then it goes down. Well, the banks really want it to go down, and well, which one is it, Mr. Fuji? You're not. That's the problem, right? He just takes data and he speaks it, but you don't know what he's talking about, and if it's real or not, you're just assuming. So this is the problem with him, and we have to understand. That's why I get very in depth with it. And it's high demand, it's low supply. Gold's going up. Did anything change? No. It's on sale. We can get it at 72. I ran and got 5 ounces of it. So again, when's COMEX breaking? Well, JP Morgan's going to fight it, but yeah, they're going to want it. Now, he said JP Morgan had 25,000 tons of silver, but he never connected the dots to say, oh, this is what they owe on their shorts they've been doing for 25 years, and they've got to pay their shorts out. So they need 25,000 tons to pay everybody standing on delivery for their silver. Doesn't say that. And that's the problem with AI. You can't really ask it, right? It's not what it is. It's not even a guy. It's just AI, some computer talking to you, and what are you going to do? You can't really say. Now they can explain certain things, but they can't really analyze, and you can't really converse with them. So this is the problem. So anyway, so you have that going on. You have people just accepting something without questioning. And that's what they want you to do now. That's what this whole social network is. Oh, I got likes. Somebody likes me. Oh, I didn't get likes. Oh, they hate me. Oh, and people committing suicide and going on drugs because, oh, nobody liked my comment. Because you're not thinking, you're just, and you're actually putting a comment down that you think people will like you for. And this is the problem. That's why you're so many idiots, because they don't know anything, and they're just saying, oh, well, they said the sky's blue and they got 100 likes. So I'm going to say the sky's blue. And then I can get 100 likes and somebody will like me, and I'll be so happy. These are a bunch of idiots, right? And that's exactly what's happening. So we are very rare that we can look at something and problem solve it. And that skill is shrinking very, very much to people that can do that, because people don't even know to do that. They don't even ask to do that. They don't even understand. They just accept the sky's blue. Well, why is the sky blue? Right? And I don't care for that answer. I just know it's blue. Why is gold going down? I care why. I need to know, should I buy it or not? I need to know, should I buy Bitcoin or not? So I asked those questions, and Bitcoin came up. It's not backed by anything. Okay, I don't want that. Gold is gold, so I don't need it backed by anything because I have the backing in the gold and silver. And then I realized COMEX is price fixing it down, so it's really worth a lot more. And then I realized the dollar has no value because they keep printing it. And if you keep printing something, it loses its value. So I did 3 critical steps to come up with, we need to buy gold and silver, boys. And that's critical. But most people don't know. How many people understand that at the coin store? Well, what do you think it's going to be? Well, why don't you think and understand, and then you'd know it's going to be $1,000 an ounce. Why are you asking me? You should learn and understand what is going on, and then you'll. Now they were smart enough to come in and buy silver, but to ask me that question, what do I think it's going to? And I'm like, look, this is not a profit-taking thing. You're not going to profit-take this. This is not, it goes up to, you're buying it at 75 and you sell 200. No. You don't profit-take this because you never want to get back into this. This is gone. I got out of it. I never want to come back into it. That's the point. So you must understand that. That's why I don't want you to profit-take, because we problem solved that. And we said, no. If it's worth nothing now, and I got some silver that's worth a lot, and it goes from 75 to 200, why would I profit take it? Because then I'm going back into the monopoly money, which is what the whole point was, to get out of it. So I never want to get back into that. Now, if I have to pay a bill or go on a vacation, I might sell an ounce, get the money, and pay for the medical or pay for the vacation or Joey's school or something. Okay, that's fine because it's still worthless, but I'm getting rid of the worthless to pay a bill or something. So you must understand that. So that's why there's no profit taking here. Now Luke wants to buy a house. Okay, well, that's fine. And I would just wait until the house costs you 5 ounces of gold. I wouldn't buy it now. When gold's ounces for the house, then I would give them 5 ounces. You don't need the money and you don't need a mortgage because you just bought the house with the gold. And that's what's coming. You just got to wait for it. Because if you buy a house now, it's only going to lose value because there's no market for it. The market for housing is dropped because it's too expensive. Nobody has the money or the desire or the demand to buy a $500,000 house. So therefore the price goes down, and then it goes down until you get to the market. So here's the market and here's 500,000. And then, the market dropped. Well, you're still not where the new market's 200,000. Well, you got to keep coming until you find the market. So you're way up here. There's nobody home. So you got to come here. So why would you buy a house here if the market's here? So you wait until it drops and then you pull out gold and you buy it and there's no mortgage. So that's what you would use your gold for, to buy a house, to buy a car, but not to get back into dollars. You want to buy a Rolex. You want to buy a Mano card. Oh, he's wanted a Mano rookie. Okay, here's 2 ounces of gold. You own a Mano rookie, which is perfectly fine because you're buying one asset to another. Something with a huge value, a Mano card, a Rolex, or fancy watch. That's what you want to use the gold for, not to get back into the paper. What good is it? Oh, I bought silver at 50 an ounce and now it's 200. I made $150 an ounce. Well, the dollar's worthless. Why do you want to get back into dollars? So just forget it. It's not that silver went up to 200. It's silver's value is now 200. I can go to the grocery store and fill my cart with silver. That's what you're doing, is getting value for it. That's the key to it, right? It's the value. It's what will it buy? And as the prices go down, because the dollar is worthless, the prices won't spike because the market's here. So if Coca-Cola goes up to here, the market's here. Nobody's going to buy it. Well, it'll be on sale, 3 for $5, 5 for $5. As they raise the price, there's nobody home. And this is the whole prudent thing of grocery stores or clothing stores or anything. This is what you can sell it for, not here. You can't just raise the price. This is what you're stuck selling. Steaks, $15. Well, I need to sell for 25. There's nobody home to buy it. You must sell it at market, which is here. And the market keeps falling because the dollar's worthless. So things cost more. So I have less money. I have to pay more for tuna and I have to pay more for a steak. Leaves me less money to buy other goods with. So that's why the market's shrinking. Nobody has 500,000 to buy a house. So it's down to 200,000 because nobody can make the mortgage payments because the interest rates are high. And the interest rate should go up higher because the dollar's worth nothing. So if I loan you $10,000, I'm going to want to get paid back, let's say $12,000. But if I keep lending to you in inflated dollars, the dollar I'm going to get back is going to be 7,000, right? So you're going to pay me 10, but it'll only be worth 7. So I got to add interest rates to it to get the 12 that I want. Otherwise, why would I lend you money? So I'm going to lend you 10, charge you this interest rate, 20%, because I want to get 12 out of it. And I know the dollar is worthless. I wouldn't lend anybody money. If I did, I would want gold and silver for it. That's why I tell Bobby, when you get your $1 million contract from the Mets, to turn it into gold and silver as quick as you can, because the $1 million is worth nothing. It's probably worth 10 grand, his $1 million, what he can actually buy with it. And then you got to pay tax on it. So the big advantage of gold and silver is there's no tax. There's no interest income that you got to pay like in a bank. The whole system, just get out of the banking system, just go to gold and silver. No taxes. It goes up in value. You don't have to pay capital. No, you don't have to pay capital gains. You don't have to pay interest, nothing. It's completely off the radar, which is why they don't want you to own it, because they can't control us and we don't want to be controlled. All right. So anyway, that's what's happening. So people are not questioning it. They're just going along and they want to be liked and all those social things. So a little bit more of this.
Flexibility, paradoxically, makes them more adaptable to rapid narrative changes. They follow the flow without resistance, changing opinions not through reflection, but through collective matrix updates. The contemporary system does not need brilliant minds. It needs efficient processors for fragmented tasks. The extreme division of intellectual labor has created an environment where no one needs to understand the whole, only to execute their part with precision. Thinking about the entire system is unnecessary and even counterproductive. Functional stupidity is that which performs perfectly without understanding purpose. Even more disturbing, contemporary stupidity is often highly informed. People accumulate data, cite studies, reproduce statistics, but without the capacity for integrative analysis.
Gaza's population is on the brink of famine. Every hour.
Capacity for integrative analysis. It is possible to be simultaneously well-informed and intellectually inert. Modern stupidity is not empty. It is saturated with unprocessed content. The real question is, if stupidity is so functionally advantageous for the maintenance of complex systems, is there any real incentive to combat it? Or are we facing a social configuration where intellectual mediocrity is, in fact, the desired state of equilibrium? Genuine reasoning is laborious. It requires data collection, context analysis, premise identification, evidence evaluation, confrontation of contradictions, and provisional synthesis, always subject to revision. It is a slow, uncomfortable process that often ends in uncertainty. Ready-made opinions offer the opposite: instant conclusions, immediate certainty, and a complete waiver of cognitive effort. The replacement of reasoning with prefabricated opinions did not happen due to isolated intellectual laziness. It was the result of a structural transformation in how information is distributed and consumed. Digital platforms do not sell information, they sell positioning. Each complex topic is reduced to 2 or 3 clearly defined antagonistic positions. The user does not need to think about the topic, just choose their team. This tribal model of opinion eliminates the most important zone of critical thinking: ambiguity. Complex issues have multiple layers, nuances, contexts, and exceptions. Reducing them to simplifying binaries destroys the possibility of real understanding. But real understanding is not the goal. The goal is rapid group identification. Opinions function like uniforms. They serve to identify who belongs to which group, not to reflect a genuine understanding of reality. Schopenhauer observed that the more limited a man's knowledge, the stronger his conviction. Contemporary society proves this on an industrial scale. People with superficial knowledge about any topic exhibit levels of certainty inversely proportional to their real understanding. This dynamic creates an environment where speaking loudly replaces arguing well, and repetition replaces evidence. The most revealing phenomenon is the speed with which opinions are formed. Within seconds of an event, millions already have a definitive position. This temporal impossibility of adequate analysis reveals that opinions are not being formed, they are being recognized. The person.
So when I tell the guy to sell his stock and his 401k, he's already made up his mind. When I try to explain gold and silver, he doesn't want to listen to it because his opinion, because he's an idiot, is, well, no, I make money in stocks. That's my retirement. I don't want to pay the tax. I don't want to look at that gold is the key and I should be in gold. I don't want to look at it. My mind's made up because just like this, it's an instant thing. Well, stocks outperform. That's what I'm going to be in. Gold, well, no, gold's not good. Gold doesn't do anything, And this is the problem that we struggle when we try to explain gold to people and silver, that they've already made up their mind. So they argue with us, which I get that a lot. And they don't want to hear it because it contradicts their belief, which has been a 1 second, oh, buy stocks. You don't want to buy, don't buy gold. Gold's no good. So they make up their opinion by just hearing that, which is what he's saying here. They're just making up their opinion without any facts. They're stupid. That's why we call them idiots. They're stupid, so they don't understand it. And therefore, they they don't want to question it. So they just go, oh, some stocks are where I should put my money in Bitcoin. Why? Well, because other people have it. And because Bitcoin's 100 grand and it's going to 1 million, I want to buy it. Then I'm going to get rich. But Bitcoin's not backed by anything. It's not real. You can't show me one. Well, it doesn't matter. It's going to 1 million and I'm going to make $1 million. Based on what? Well, I don't know, but that's what they say. That's how stupid people are. They don't, but it's not backed by anything. There's no gold backing of Bitcoin. It's not worth anything. It's not real. You can't see it. Well, no, isn't it that gold, the coin with the B on it? No, that's gold with the B on it. It's not Bitcoin. Clever how they try to make Bitcoin gold. It's digital gold, I hear. How the fuck can it be digital gold when there's no gold and when it's not even real? And how can it be gold? Gold's real gold. You have it. It's physical. You got it. If you don't have physical, you don't have anything. All right. But just another example.
Identifies which tribal category the event fits into and automatically adopts the complete package of positions associated with that group. The resulting mental architecture is brutally impoverished. Individuals lose the ability to sustain independent thought because every opinion comes in an inseparable package. Adopting position A on a specific topic automatically imposes positions B, C, and D on completely different topics. Thought ceases to be individual and becomes merely an operation of choosing from pre-assembled catalogues of worldviews. The question remains, is it possible to recover the capacity for genuine reasoning in a social structure that rewards immediate adherence and punishes prolonged reflection? Or has this ability become evolutionarily disadvantageous in the contemporary informational environment? The premise of the Enlightenment was simple. Knowledge liberates. The more information available, the more enlightened the population would be. Contemporary reality has completely destroyed this premise. Never has there been so much access to so much information, and never has critical thinking been so absent. The problem was not a lack of information. It was and always has been a lack of capacity to process it adequately. Informational overload creates a specific phenomenon, analytical paralysis, followed by mental capitulation. Faced with an impossible volume of contradictory data on any topic, the mind cannot process, evaluate, and synthesize. The natural response is not to intensify analytical effort, but to abandon it completely. The person chooses a source that resonates emotionally and delegates all critical function to it. Outsourcing of thought disguised as research. Informational fragmentation is even more destructive than volume. Information arrives in disconnected pieces, without context, without logical sequence, without hierarchy of relevance. Each fragment competes for attention with equal intensity. The human brain did not evolve to process this type of flow. The consequence is that information ceases to be raw material for knowledge and becomes merely constant background noise. There is a brutal distinction between having access to information and having the capacity to transform it into knowledge. Knowledge requires integration, not accumulation. It requires new data to be confronted with existing conceptual structures, contradictions to be identified and resolved, and patterns to be recognized through isolated cases. This process does not occur automatically. Without active critical thinking, information remains inert. The most dangerous contemporary illusion is to confuse familiarity with understanding. People repeatedly exposed to certain topics develop a sense of knowledge without ever having analyzed them deeply. They have seen the topic mentioned dozens of times, participated in superficial discussions, and shared related content. This creates a false sense of expertise. It confuses exposure with study. The most disturbing thing is that informational overload not only fails to educate, but actively de-educates.
All right. So let's go to another video. Let's watch Mr. Fuji. Just the first few minutes of him explain what happened with the margin calls and stuff.
Think about the end game. They waited until the very last moment. They waited until the volumes were thin.
Now, this is AI, so we got to be careful with them.
And then, on the final trading day of the year, they pulled the rug. If you're looking at your screen right now, you are seeing a sea of red. You're seeing silver trading at $70.50. We have crashed down from the highs of $75. We've given back the gains of the last 48 hours. And for many investors, this feels like a betrayal. You held through the volatility. You believed in the breakout. And now, hours before the new year, your portfolio is bleeding. But I'm here to tell you that what you are witnessing is not a change in the trend. It is not a signal that silver is dead. It is a liquidity event. It is a dash for cash, and it is being driven by a specific bureaucratic rule that forces the biggest banks in the world to dump assets and hoard dollars on December 31st. In this emergency market analysis, we are going to dissect the New Year's Eve massacre. We are going to explain why gold and silver are crashing together. We are going to look at the Basel III regulations that mandate this sell-off. And we're going to explain why this crash is actually the perfect setup for the January effect. That begins in less than 48 hours. The banks are cleaning their books. They are shaking the tree one last time. Do not let them take your fruit. This is the story of the final flush. To understand why silver is dropping today, you have to understand the mind of a banker on December 31st. Today is not a trading day for them. It is an accounting day. At midnight tonight, the regulators take a snapshot of every major bank's balance sheet. This snapshot determines their capital requirements for the next year. It determines their systemic risk score, or GSIB score. If a bank is holding too many volatile assets like silver, gold, or stocks, their score goes up. If their score goes up, they have to pay billions of dollars in extra capital reserves. So what is the logical move? Sell everything. Sell the gold, sell the silver, sell the bonds, get to cash. Cash is the only asset that lowers the risk score. So the massive red candles you see on the chart are not because Samsung stopped buying. They are not because the shortage ended. They are because JP Morgan and Citibank need to show cash on hand to the Federal Reserve tonight. They are dumping their positions into a thin market to dress the window. This is purely mechanical. It is a regulatory flush. And because the market is thin, because it is a holiday, their selling has an outsized impact. They sell 1,000 contracts and the price drops 50 cents. They sell 10,000 and it drops $2. They are forcing the price down to raise liquidity. Once the clock strikes midnight, the rule no longer applies, the pressure lifts, and the capital can flow back in. This is why we often see a V-shaped recovery in the first week of January. The bank.
So my question is, Mr. Fuji, is why didn't you tell us this last week? And we could have prepared for this by going and buying the gold and silver today instead of, I went yesterday or the day before. I think I went yesterday. So why are you, see, this is the problem with AI. They see what's happened. In other words, they couldn't predict, like I'm predicting the Miami-Ohio State game based on facts, and I'm giving it to you a week in advance. I gave this to you last week. And they can't, what he can say is, well, look at the Pitt Cleveland game, and I can explain that Pitt did this, and they were worried about the sack record, and DK Metcalf was out, and yada, yada, yada. And that's to explain the game. But if we needed him to explain the game on Saturday, what's going to happen on Sunday, he can't do it. This is your problem with AI. They can look at what happened and explain it, but they can't predict what's going to happen. So he's saying, well, this will end tonight. It's the 31st. And I think the markets are closed for New Year's. And then on Friday, everything should jump back up. Well, let's see if that happens. But he said it was going to jump back up because all the brokers needed the price to go up so they could look good on their portfolios. So which one is it, Mr. Fuji? This is the problem with it. They're very, it has to see the data to make the analysis. It can't supersede that. All right. So that's really the thing. They got to liquidate, and that's why the market's down today. All right. So let's go to football. I don't like to waste too much time with Mr. Fuji. And what are we at here? So we're at 71.57 and gold 43.23. I feel comfortable as long as gold stays in the 43s. It'll be back to 45 by Friday. And silver staying over 70. So I'm fine, 71.57. So that's good. Because we know it's all bullshit. It's coming down because of these margin calls and the banks have to look good. It's all stupid games. All right, let's see. Let's see. Daggio is playing. He's getting sacked a lot. Well, they'll figure that out. He's 5 of 6 for 34 yards, but he's got 2 sacks. Well, let's stay in college. So we're just going to be concerned with the bowl games, with the playoffs. Duke 3.5, 48.5 over Arizona State's at 2:00. Michigan, Texas, Texas 5.5, 48.5 at 3:00. Nebraska, Utah's on at 3:30. Utah 14.5, 50.5. The coach will not be there, so they're not playing for the coach. All right, playoffs. Ohio State 9.5, 41 to Miami. Take Miami under. Tomorrow we got Oregon, Texas Tech. Oregon 2.5, 52. We got Alabama, Indiana. Indiana 7, 48.5. And we've got Georgia 6, 55.5 to Ole Miss. So that's your playoff game. So we like the under with these strong defense. So we'll go through the teams. Miami and Ohio State are both A teams. Miami with the 12 defense, Ohio State with an 8, and you're looking at a 41. So you're not going to get a lot of points against these tough defenses. They held Texas A&M down. How they lost 2 games was probably due to turnovers, so I would think Carson Beck will be careful tonight. Oregon, Texas Tech, Oregon 2.5, 51.5. Oregon is an A team with a 16 defense. Texas Tech's an A team with a 10 defense. I like Texas Tech's quarterback better, and they got a good running back and a strong defense. I think Texas Tech's a live dog, and I think the game won't see a lot of points. Alabama, Indy 7, 48.5, 6.5. Alabama an 18 with a 21 defense. Indy an 18 with a 10 defense. It's going to be hard for Alabama, although they did put up 38 on Oklahoma, but one was a pick 6. Indiana did beat Ohio State, so they have confidence. They did beat Oregon, so I really wouldn't be going against Indiana here. Total of 48.5 is pretty high number. I don't think it'll get there. Georgia, Ole Miss. Georgia's 655.5. I think Georgia wins the game. Ole Miss is an A team with a 25 defense. However, they don't have their coach. Right? He's moved on. And, the coach is a pretty substantial thing there. So we will see. And then we've got Georgia playing well. They beat Alabama 28-7. They already beat Ole Miss 48-35, and I don't think we'll see that kind of game. I think they'll adjust to the quarterback, who's fast and a runner, but he's not that good of a quarterback. And that. So I think it's Ohio State, Miami, low-scoring game. Either team can win. Oregon, Texas Tech, I think Texas Tech wins. Mississippi, Alabama, Indiana, I think Indiana wins. But they haven't really been there. They were there against Ohio State, and they were there against Oregon, so they're starting to learn. They got Mendoza, so that's not bad. They can run okay. Their defense is a 10, so they got a strong defense. They did go to Iowa and win, which is very good because of their defense. So I look for I think Indiana wins that game, and then Ole Miss, Georgia, I think Georgia wins the game, again, without the coach. All right, so let's go to the pros. All right, let's go. I know I've added my ratings and my 5 game. So these are now 5 game ratings and that. Carolina, Tampa, they're both under teams, both with 23 defenses. I got Tampa 2.5, 44. Young against the Baker. Play against Tampa is 13-3 this year. They both seem to have pretty good defenses, so we will see. But they're both kind of under teams, and now it's come. Baker's got a sore right shoulder, throwing shoulder, and he's injured. So that's a key thing. That's why they're not scoring. They're very low scoring team, which is unusual with Baker and Evans and that. So look for Carolina could be a live dog here, but then you got to trust Steve Young, which we don't. Seattle, Frisco. Seattle 1.5, 48.5. We got Seattle as an 8 team with a 14 defense, and Frisco with an 8 team with a 22 defense. So they're both scoring pretty good. And you saw the Niners against the Bears; they put up a ton. Darnell against Purdy. Seattle 14-2 on the road and 13-3 this year. The 14-2 is last year's, I believe. So they're good on the road. There was no Niner trend because of all the injuries and Purdy in and out. That really shows you that. This is a real tough game. This normally would be a tease the dog. Let's see. There's some injuries, so we got to kind of wait. Today's only Wednesday, right? What's today? Wednesday? Yeah. So we're early in the week, but with all these playoff games and bowl games, it kind of forces your hand to start looking on Tuesday and Wednesday. I don't know. This will be a tough game. I don't. Probably a tease the dog game because Darnell will choke. And then I'm not sure the total of 49, what to do with it. Those are your Saturday games. Sunday, Indy at Houston. Houston is 10-39. Riley Leonard's going to start, not Rivers, which makes sense. Why would you don't need Rivers now against CJ Stroud? Indy's a W team now with the 29 defense. So you lost Daniel Jones. You're not scoring anymore, and your defense has gone to 29. Houston, a B team, because they don't really score that much because Stroud's really not that good, but a 17 defense. They got a great defense. Again, Leonard against Stroud. Indy's 9-1 is a road dog. Houston 10-2 is a home favorite. 31-4 the last 2 years. 15-1 this year is Houston. It seems like you're Houston. They need it. Indy's going to Riley Leonard. It's a little bit. You lay in 10, but Indy, everybody thought they were really good, which they were, but not now. They're not as without the quarterback, and now they're out of the playoffs. It's a lot less. Are they going to play Jonathan Taylor the whole game? I don't want to get him hurt either. Houston will play because they have to win, and Jacksonville lose. They can win the division. So Houston's going to play. Tennessee, Jacksonville. Jacksonville is 12.5, 47.5. That's a key number. It gets you under 7. Tennessee a W with the 27 defense, and Jacksonville an A with the 16 defense. This is what you got to understand. Jacksonville is the real deal. They got a 16 defense. A lot of it's because they run the ball a lot. When you run the ball, you're milking the clock, and the other team doesn't get as many possessions, and therefore they don't score as much. So is the defense really that strong, or is the offense milking the clock? I think the defense is pretty strong. We got Ward against Lawrence, 2 crap quarterbacks. Play against Tennessee for 2 years, 28-5. Play against the road dog is 6-1. Tennessee's a road dog. Take Jacksonville this year, 13-3. They're not much as a home favorite. They might be 70, 75%, but I only care when it gets over 80. So Jacksonville 13-3 in the teaser. They're at home in a must-win game to win the division. And it's Tennessee. Look for them to blow them out. Your problem is Lawrence, who sucks. Those picks he threw last week, just before half. Don't throw an interception, you idiot. He couldn't read the linebacker, really? So he made it a close game that shouldn't have been. Dallas at the Giants, who cares? Dallas, wow, this was 6, is now 3.5. I wonder if Dak's not. Let's see what the total. The total didn't change. So why did it go from 6 to 3.5? That we'll have to look into. Dak against Dart, we believe. Play against the Giants 27-6 the last 2 years. Dallas over team with 33 defense. The defense is pathetic. The Giants an even team with the 25, the total of 52. So why did the Giants line go down? We'll see. Maybe CeeDee Lamb's not playing. I don't know. Well, let's take a quick look. So if you hit the game, it goes into the details. The Cowboys will be playing their starters. Dak Prescott will start, won't say how much we'll use him. So he might not play second half. 3 veterans who could be playing their last game for the Cowboys. So I guess they're scared how long Dak will play, so they don't want to lay 6. And then that affects the total, but we got to see who the backup is, right? Well, I think it's Trey Lance, or I don't know. Now he's on the Chargers or something. Green Bay mini 7.5 and 35.5. I don't know if Love's playing or not. It doesn't matter. The game they don't need. Green Bay's an over team with the 28 defense. So you lose Mike Parsons, all of a sudden your defense falls apart. Minnesota, an under team with the 15 defense. Now, is it going to be Willis against Brausner, or is it the third stringer against Brausner? Green Bay 6-1 is a road dog, and Mini 6-1 is a home favorite. So all I can say is with the 15 Minnesota defense they'll be playing, it's what's going on with Green Bay. Are they going to rest a lot of players because they're getting ready for the playoffs? Willis was hurt, so I'm not sure we're going to get Willis. I think with this line, we're getting the third stringer. And so you say, well, we can't. How can we bet this game with the third stringer? Well, we bet it under. We got Brausmer against, Joe Bob. Against Mac Davis. And Mac Davis is going to be the quarterback. Been watching North Dallas 40. So I think under is the way to play it. Now, if Willis is playing, we bet Green Bay. I mean, Brausner's not going to beat you by 13. Even with the third stringer, I don't think Brausner beats you by 13. I think Minnesota will blitz every game. I was listening to an interview with Jared Goff saying, what was it about Minnesota that was difficult for you? Yeah, they did blitz a lot, and we really didn't pick it up, or we didn't really see it. You didn't see it. It was every freaking play. This Goff's an idiot. I can't believe they signed him to a $50 million 4-year contract. What a bunch of idiots. This is the Lions for you. They did the same thing with Scott Mitchell. He sucked also. All right. Cleveland, Cincy 7, 44.5. Cleveland, a W team with the 24. Cincy, a B team with the 23. Prime Jr. against Joe Burrow. Play against Road Dog. Cleveland, 12-2, 6-1 this year. Really no trend because you had Burrow and you didn't have Burrow, and you had Burrow and you didn't have Burrow. Burrow against Prime Jr., you got to love Cincinnati here. Just like last week where I locked Cincinnati playing, I think it was Miami, because I knew Burrow after that terrible game he had against Baltimore was going to come on. Chase is playing, Burrow's playing, they'll kill Cleveland. This is the game that it's not for a playoff spot, it's the matchup. And this is the whole thesis I run by. This is how I problem solved and critically thought how to pick football games. And this is where it comes from. You look at it and you go, Prime Jr. is not going to light up. And also the other thing is Cincinnati, Cleveland's a W team with a 24 defense. But if we look at Cincinnati, they're a B team with a 23 defense. They used to have a 30 defense. Now they're a 23. You know why? Because Joe Burrow is eating the clock up. He's taking them on 8, 9, 10 play drives, taking 5, 6 minutes. It gives them the other team less possession, so therefore they're not going to score as much. Because if I have the ball and I'm driving, you're not scoring, I'm scoring. And that's what Joe Burrow's doing, and the defense conversely is down to 23, even though it was in the 30s. That shows you what the quarterback controls the defense a lot. New Orleans, Atlanta, 3.5, 45. Atlanta, now if it ends in a 3-way tie, I think Carolina wins. So I don't know what incentive Atlanta has to go 8-8 and have a 3-way tie. They don't get in the playoffs. I don't know that they care. That's the only way that Tampa can't get in if they win is if Atlanta wins and everybody's 8-8 and everybody's 8-9, and that's how Carolina gets in because it'll be a 3-way tie. But if Atlanta loses, Tampa wins, Tampa's in. Real strange. New Orleans, a B team with an 18 defense, and Shaw. And Atlanta's an over team with the 27 defense. Shaw against Cousins. Play against as a road dog, New Orleans 10-2. Atlanta play against as a home favorites 9-1. So this is a play against game. I kind of like New Orleans as the dog here because it's Kirk Cousins, right? I don't know who Tyler Shaw is. I mean, I know who he is, but we don't know really what he is yet. But New Orleans is playing well. They're up to 6-10, so they're not only winning 1 or 2 games. Washington, Philly down to 4. They were 7-39. So I assume they're not playing their guys. Washington's a Z team with the 28. Philly's an under team with the 21. Johnson against Hurts, maybe. Philly is 30-7, and play against them this year is 14-2. Let's see what happens. We let the line dictate. This is why this week we got to be careful before we bet. What are we betting on? Eagles will reportedly rest Jalen Hurts and other key starters in Week 18, despite needing that. Eagles expect a Jalen Hurts decision. Okay. Eagles will rest Jalen Hurts and most starters. Okay. So what you have is no Jalen Hurts. So who's their backup against Washington? So this goes to an under because Philly still has to have defense, right? They're probably resting Barkley and Hurts, maybe the receivers. So you're looking at the second team offense. You're looking at the second team. And so therefore you've got they're still lane 4. Washington, are they starting Johnson or are they starting that? So we got to look at the injuries to see. I would assume they're going to just go with Johnson. They don't want to get Mariota, who's hurt. It's a meaningless game. So here's where you struggle. This is like a bowl game. It's a meaningless game. This is the problem with the bowl games, which I'm going to talk about. So Philly is, an under team anyway with the 21 defense, and they're just not going to go through the motion. So this is probably a very strong underplay. So you got to look at it. They're rushing the quarterback, so they're bringing in the backups. Well, they're not going to score like the starters, and the starters aren't scoring anyway. I don't get the rest. I think it's stupid because then you're going to go into the playoffs, and most teams that rest their players lose the first week. Miami, New England. New England is 10.5, 45.5. This was down. This was 12. Now, New England needs the game for the 1 seed if Denver loses, and they both play at 4:30. So I don't know what's going on here. Urs against May, unless it's not Urs, it's Tagliavua. But I think it would be Urs. Miami, an under team with the 23. Miami's 7-9, doesn't matter. New England's an 18 with the 21. Good defense. May's playing well. 15-1 in a teaser. 5-1. I don't know what that. Okay. Play against is a road dog. Miami is 10-2. I got 5. New England's 5-1 as a home favorite. The way I wrote it, it looks like road favorite, which didn't make sense. So New England, very strong team. Why did it drop 2 points? But we'll take it. Arizona, LA, LA 7.5, 46.5, down from 9.5. LA's out of it, so maybe they're resting Stafford. Although the total is still 47. Arizona Z team with a 34 defense. Their defense sucks. And Brissett. The Rams an over team with a 29. Stafford. The Rams are 13-3 is a home favorite. 6-1 is a home favorite this year. Play against Arizona 15-1. So this is where you got to be careful who's playing, right? It changes the dynamic because our trends are Stafford's playing and Hurts is playing, and and all of a sudden they're not. But you've got to then go third dimensionally and go, oh, then it's probably a low scoring game. KC Oakland, KC 5.5, 36.5. Ola Donkin against, I guess, Pickett. We'll find out. KC's an under team with the 22 defense. And Oakland's a Z team with the 29. I cannot see Oakland winning. If they lay down against the Giants, they're not going to screw it by beating Kansas City. So, although you do have Ola Duncan, South Dakota State. Kansas City's play against 6-1 was a road favorite. Oakland play against is a home dog 10-1. San Diego, Denver. Now San Diego's sitting Herbert out. Denver 12.5, 37.5. They need it for the 1 seed. So it's either Denver or New England for the 1 seed. I guess Jacksonville has an outside chance if they both lose. It ain't going to happen. San Diego's sitting Herbert out, we know. San Diego, a B team with the 17. Denver, an E team with the 23. Bo Nix. 11-1 is a home favorite. 31-3 the last 2 years. 15-1 this year. Go Denver. I guess San Diego's just going to lay down and take their starters out and rest them, get ready for the NFL draft that they were college guys. Detroit, Chicago 3 and 50.5. Detroit's an over team with a 31 defense in golf, and Chicago's a B team with a 21 in Caleb. They're 5-0 as a home favorite, 14-2 overall. Chicago wins, they get Green Bay. If they lose, they get the Rams. So I would think they'd want to win to get Green Bay. And as long as that's happening, Philly will get the Rams then next week. Green Bay owes Detroit. They got beat 51-20, and this is your free play, and the Bears are going to kill them. They're going to kill them. They're going to kill them. They're going to kill them. Because Detroit has no defense. I don't even know, is Golf going to play the whole game? St. Thomas is injured. Is he going to play? Gibbs, I mean, what's the point? You're lost. I could see benching those guys in the second half possibly. The Bears need to win. The Jets go to Buffalo. Buffalo 7-38. The Jets a Z team with the 36 and Buffalo a B with the 21. We got Big Steve Cook from the Firestone Tournament of Champion is going to be the Jets quarterback. And then Allen has a hurt foot. Who's the backup? Buffalo, do they gain anything? At 11-5, San Diego's not playing. Buffalo, I think it's pretty much set. Between Buffalo, San Diego, and Houston for the 5, 6, and 7 seeds. Question. So one of them wants to play Baltimore-Pittsburgh winner, so we'll see. So we just need, is Allen playing, which we probably don't know yet. Baltimore-Pitt, Baltimore 3.5, 41. Okay. Baltimore an E team with the 22 defense, and I'm assuming Huntley. If they want to win, they should go with Huntley. Pittsburgh's an under team with the 20 defense and Rodgers. Baltimore 13-2 is a road favorite, 5-1 this year. Now the question is Lamar or Huntley. Lamar still seems to be injured. Huntley killed Green Bay. I wouldn't take him out even if Lamar was healthy. Rodgers, now you don't have DK Metcalf because of the fucking fan who should be thrown in jail. This is where the problem is. You can't suspend a guy 2 games because he was provoked And this is a fan that provoked him when he was on Seattle, calling him by his first name. The guy goes DK Metcalf, and his name's like Demarius Kittle or something, right? And probably doesn't like to be called it. The fans calling him, and he's probably swore at him. He might not have said a racial slur, but he probably told him to F off. And so he just kind of pushed him away. It's not like he hit him. It's such bullshit. That's the news we're living in is, oh, look. And then everybody makes their opinion because they're idiots. See, for us, we're critical thinking going, he provoked him, which is why he pushed him, and the guy who provoked should get the penalty, not this guy. And then the fans suing him. So he's like calling him over, provoking him, and then suing him. What a joke that is. This is the problem with society, but only we critical think going, well, wait, he provoked him. He's at fault, not the player who reacted to the provocation. So we got Huntley. So the question is, without DK Metcalf, what did we see yesterday with Pittsburgh and Cleveland? We saw a terrible game, 13-6. But we read, oh, well, they didn't want to let Myles Garrett break TJ Watt's record. So Aaron Rodgers is just throwing the ball quickly so he doesn't get sacked. I kind of believe it to a point, but at the end of the day, they needed to win the game, so they didn't have to play this week. Okay, you still don't have DK Metcalf. You do got Snackwell or Snack Bar, good running back, and Warren, a good running back. The defense played well. Prime got a lucky pass for a touchdown that was thrown way behind the guy. Otherwise, he did shit the second, third, and fourth quarters. Pitt's going to be all over him. Well, Pitt's got Baltimore. So then it's, what do we have here? A 20 defense and a 22. So we're playing a lot of unders this week, right? Miami of Florida, Texas Tech, and here's Pitt. Maybe Indiana, maybe Georgia. I mean, it's all over the place. I think you got to take Pitt. Okay, they don't have DK Metcalf, but this is for the title and everything, and this is for the playoffs. If TJ Watt's coming back, they're going to win it. I think they're very live dog at home in this situation. They did beat Baltimore 29-22. Now DK Metcalf played there. So the question is, how much is he hurt? And so maybe it drives us to the under as we critically think, wait a minute, we don't have our best receiver. They're going to run more. They're going to play defense. Baltimore is playing good defense. I don't think Huntley's going to do what he did to Green Bay, especially if TJ Watt's back. And he was practicing. He had a lung issue. All right, teaser teams. Chicago, New England, Houston, Denver, and the Rams. These are your 5 teaser teams for this year, over 85%. Chicago, we are playing as the free play. New England has to win. Houston has to win. Denver has to win. And the Rams don't have to win. Play against the JETSs, Arizona, Philly, Tennessee, and the Giants. And I can see us definitely playing against Arizona with the Rams, the Jets. I don't care if I have Stenson Benson playing for the Rams, where I might lock it with Stafford. But the way he played, I don't know. They've lost 4 out of 6, I believe, the Rams. The Rams are not ready for the playoffs, so they need a win, and they're getting Arizona without Budda Baker. Arizona's terrible, 34. And here's where you go. It's a 34 defense. And this is the problem. So that's why we're critically looking at the defense. So let's look at the grades. We've got Indy with the 29 defense. We've got Tennessee with the 27 defense. Dallas, a 33 defense. Green Bay, a 28 defense. As soon as they lost Micah Parsons, this is why we do last 5 and not the whole year. Micah Parsons, I don't know if he's been out 5. He left in the Denver game. I think it's 3 or 4, but Denver lit him up, right? So without Parsons, they're a 28 defense, and that's the critical part that we must understand. Atlanta a 27 defense, Washington a 28, Arizona a 34. But the Rams, now this is where it's deceiving. They're a 29, but they played the Lions. Atlanta got a lot of points, and Seattle, wasn't it Seattle that, yeah, they put up the 40. So all of a sudden the Rams aren't playing defense anymore. Aha. So now they're an over team. They are not an A team. They were an A team with the 20 defense. When the Lions played them, do I play over or do I play the Rams? And I locked the over. I looked at LA in another game and I go, no, they let up a lot of points. So it's all schedule, and there's so many bad teams that it skews the number. So you must critically think, and I'm really hammering that part home because that's how you be successful is you go inside the numbers and you go, wait a minute. Overall, they're X, but wait, the last 5 and against these good teams, they're not very good. Against the weak teams is when they're scoring. And I mean, they lost to Atlanta. Now, there was a pick 6 involved, but anyway, so LA with the 29, Oakland with the 29, Detroit with the 31 defense. The JETS is the worst in the league, a 36. So that makes you play Buffalo with anybody quarterbacking. Jim Kelly could be the quarterback. Now, on the converse, let's look at the strong defenses. Seattle, a 14. Houston, we know, a 17. Jacksonville, a surprise, a 16. Minnesota, a 15. And they beat the Lions in there, who tried. New Orleans, an 18. Philadelphia, 21. New England, a 21. Kansas City at 22, San Diego is 17. Denver's at 23 because they played Green Bay, and then they've been playing a little better teams, getting a higher score. That Green Bay game was like a 30-point game they gave up, but they're still a very good defense. But they used to be 17, 18. Now they're 23, so you must realize that. The Bears are down to a 21. They were 30. Then they started getting their players back, and now they're ball controlling it, so there's less chance for the other team to score. Buffalo down to a 21, and Pitt and Baltimore 22, Pitt 20. So now it comes into clear who's the weak teams. The 30 defenses. Who's the strong teams? Seattle with the 14. So what do we do with Seattle and the Niners? Seattle with the 14 defense. Will the Niners score on them? Do we play the game under? Do we want the Niners in 7? Well, we got to see if we get Kittle back. McCaffrey, I think, is okay. Purdy's playing. They look good against the Bears, and the Bears have a 21 defense. So it makes it where it's 49. We go over 43 is 24-20. It's a winner. Are we going to get to 24-20? And then, or we can go under 55, which I'd be scared like shit to go under with San Francisco. So what you have is San Francisco, Seattle, is you're looking, you have to look at common denominators, which would be the Niners against the Rams twice. And then you got to look at Seattle against the Rams and get those scores. And they were all high scoring games. So that leads you to, yes, Seattle's got a 14 defense, but who is it against? You know, New Orleans and the Jets and the Giants in Miami. And that's the problem with it. So that's what we're looking at. Houston, a 17 defense. They need to win the game. They're 10. You go 4, maybe. You go under, maybe. What's Indy going to get with Riley Leonard? Jacksonville with the 16 defense. That's why I bet them last week against Indy, and it was even. Here we're laying 12.5 against Tennessee. Ward seems to be scoring a little bit more, but they have a 27 defense, and so they'll just run the ball down their throats. I can't see Jacksonville losing. They have to win the game to keep out of Houston, and they still have a shot for the 1 seed, but I wouldn't count on Denver and New England losing. New England playing Miami and Denver playing San Diego without Herbert in a game obviously San Diego doesn't care about. Dallas and the Giants, this has gone from 6 to 3.5. Dak will start, but probably only play maybe a quarter. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe just starts against Dart. Who's Dallas's backup? and then and their 33 defense. So this would be a beautiful over. But if I don't have Dak, do I not have Pickens and do I not have CD Lamb? And then how are they going to score 50 points? So we'll keep an eye on the 52, where that goes. Green Bay Mini, we got to see the quarterbacks. Again, Mini with the 15 defense turns it into an under game if it's not Willis. If it's Willis, they're a live dog. If it's not Willis, then it's probably an under because you're not going to score on Minnesota. Cincy Cleveland, it's all Joe Burrow. New Orleans, Atlanta. Shaw against Cousins. Atlanta's been playing well lately. And New Orleans has been playing well lately. This has the making of a tease the dog. Shaw's playing well. A total of 43.5. I think that's an over because you only need 37 points. Philly, Washington, I don't know. If they're resting, I got to see who they're resting. Probably Jalen Carter, Shaquan Barkley, Hurts, probably A.J. Brown because he'd get mad if he wasn't resting, and Devontae Smith, and maybe a lineman like Lane Johnson won't play as they get ready for the playoffs. I always question this because I think it's stupid. I don't get the rest. The rest has never helped. How many times did Peyton Manning go in undefeated and they rested in the last 2 weeks? They get to the first game of the playoffs and they lose. It happened like every year. I don't see the benefit. They lose timing. They lose focus. It's like playing golf. I got to get into the rhythm and keep playing golf. I can't take a week off and then try to play golf. You can't do it. Or the same thing, even in football, I can't take a week off of handicapping and you lose your feel and you go, oh, what's going on? So we will see. Miami and New England. New England has to win to try to catch Denver. So they're laying 10. I don't know why this spread dropped. That's a gift from the gods. That's like silver dropping. Let's go buy it. The Rams, 7.5, 47 to Arizona. We'll have to look into that game. Again, it's only Wednesday. These are Sundays. So this is just little red flags for us to look at. KC 5.5, 36. I say KC. I would assume it's Pickett. I would assume Oakland is playing to lose to keep the one pick because if they didn't try against the Giants, we know Crosby's not playing. We know Bowers isn't playing. I doubt KC gives anything. The only problem is it's Odell. And then you say, well, I'll go under with Odell and Pickett, but then you got a 29 defense in Oakland. I don't know. San Diego, Denver. Denver must win. San Diego playing without Herbert, probably some other players. Detroit, Chicago. Chicago wants to win to not play the Rams. They're, I guess, in the driver's seat for the 5 seed. No. The Rams, I don't know. No, whoever loses the Seattle games, the 5 seed, and they get Tampa, Carolina. So this would be the 6 seed where they would get Green Bay, and then Philly would get the Rams. So I don't know what Philly's fucking around with. I guess they know Chicago's beating Detroit. So how does Detroit play the game? Are they going to try? Well, we know Chicago is, and we know they lost 51-20. We know they're pretty pissed off at the Lions, and I would expect them to kill the Lions. I mean, this is going to get ugly. That's why it's the free play, right? The Jets at Buffalo. Buffalo 739.5. Allen has a hurt ankle, probably won't play. There's no reason. The Jets are terrible. Z team, 36 defense, and Steve Cook. Buffalo, we'll see who the backup is. Buffalo's usually good at home, but again, does this matter? Buffalo is 11-5. Let's see, we've got the 4 seeds. Them, San Diego, and Houston are 11-5 for the 5 seed. And that means you get to play I guess you get Baltimore, Pittsburgh as the 5 seed. So I don't know if that's good or bad. But so Buffalo, I don't know if they need it or not. Maybe We'll see if Allen plays, and then is he going to play the whole game? And this is where you get fucked by the coach. Okay, we just had him out there for 2 series, and now we're bringing in Joe Smith, the water boy, as the backup quarterback. You're like, but I bet money on this game. And then Baltimore Pitt, winner wins the division. No DK Metcalf. If it's Huntley and Rodgers, there's a big edge for Baltimore. If it's Lamar and Rodgers, a big edge for Pittsburgh. Again, DK Metcalf not being there hurts. Probably makes it an under game. They'll probably run more and play defense and safe plays. Baltimore's defense. This should be a very strong defensive game. Let's just check this weather. So in this weather, Baltimore Pitt, we've got kickoff 14 degrees, 6 mile an hour winds, 13 and 6, 13 and 6, 13 and 6. So basically, it's cold there. Yeah, so this is a real good under no matter who plays. So go Steelers, go under, especially without DK Metcalf. I kind of hope Lamar plays because then it's for sure an under. Then it might be a lock under. But if it's Huntley, Huntley's better than Lamar, except for Harbaugh can't see it. So that's a good under play where Detroit, Chicago is more Chicago. Denver, I'm not sure if I'd play it under. Maybe because if Herbert's out, San Diego probably won't score much. Oakland, KC, probably an under because Olabakin, what's he going to bring to the table? The Rams, we got to see who the quarterback is. It's hard to go under because Arizona is a 34 defense. So the Rams should score even if it's Stenson Benson. And therefore, if they score a lot, you don't want to go under. You want to go under like the Pitt-Baltimore game. Very good defenses, very cold out. All right, so they're not going to put up 50 points. We like the 49er. I love the 49er Bear game. It was 28-21 before half, and the total we were betting was over 46. That was the lock, over 46, and I had it at halftime. I've never seen that before where, again, you needed a competitive game, 28-21, and it was just score. And it was just amazing. And then it ends up as an 80-point game. Okay, guys, I got enough. You can stop scoring now. Let's see if there's any other weather we need to worry about next week. Washington, Philly, 34. But are they going to play? Miami, New England. Okay, let's look at that because we're thinking of New England because they have to win for the 1 seed. 23, 3 mile an hour winds, 22, 19, and 17 by the end of the game. So a little bit. That'll obviously hurt Miami because they can't handle cold weather. But New England, again, they're gonna blow them out because if Denver loses, but Herbert's not playing, so that's not good. The Rams in a dome, Oakland in a dome, Denver's 48. Sunny, low wind. Not going to worry about the weather there. Chicago, we got, let's see, the Lions won't like it because they're an indoor pussy team. 17 and 6, 17 and 6, 17 and 6, 17 and 6. Just cloudy. So Detroit won't like 17. And since Chicago runs the ball down their throat, it won't matter. And Chicago's played in the cold weather at Green Bay and everything. That's not an outdoor team's not a problem. The Lions, yeah, they're going to go cry. Buffalo, 22 degrees. Buffalo, 13 and 8, 13 and 6, 12 and 5. So it's pretty fucking cold there, as what we expect in Buffalo. Total on the game's 39.5. Steve Cook won't do anything. If it's not Josh Allen, then this goes to an under. If it is Josh Allen, then it goes to a Buffalo. So it's up to Josh Allen what we do. Indy, Houston in a dome. Tennessee, Jacksonville, we don't care. 64 and cloudy, so no weather. Dallas at the Giants, 31 and slight chance of snow. The real weather there is 25 and 8, 26 and 8, 26 and 8, 26 and 8. So 26 is wind chill and 8's the wind. So not too bad. That's the least of our problems in this game. Who's playing? Green Bay goes to Minnesota inside. Cleveland, Cincinnati. Let's see what Joe Burrow's got cooking for us. 26 and 3, 27 and 3, 27 and 3, 27 and 3. So yeah, it should be good. Joe Burrow weather, 27. If anybody probably doesn't like it, it's probably Prime Junior. New Orleans, Atlanta is inside. Seattle, Frisco. That is going to be 55 and 10-mile-an-hour winds and light rain, likely rain. 54 and 10 with rain, 54 and 10, likely rain, 53 and 10. So it's pretty consistent. 10-mile-an-hour winds and likely rain. Rain, likely, cloud. Okay, so we're going to get a rainy game. Does that make it go under? You're giving the ball to McCaffrey. Does he care? Carolina, Tampa, 72, chance of rain, 9-mile-an-hour. Doesn't affect it. So really, that's all we got. The Baltimore Pittsburgh's going to be cold. The Buffalo game will be somewhat cold. The Bear game will be cold. New England will be a little chilly for poor Miami. If you notice, the outdoor teams are the ones that win because mentally they're more tough because they play outside. Like teams like the Lions, it's 70 degrees and no wind and indoors. And that's why they're always losers. You got to get that team back at Tiger Stadium. Hey, when they won their title, it was 1957. They played outdoors. What a bunch of losers. The Lions. Oh, yeah, they're going to win the Super Bowl. Yeah, sure they will. Yeah, you keep thinking that, fellas. All right, so that's it. So we've got the teams ranked. We've got the last 5 in there. The quarterbacks, we've got to confirm. Is it Willis against Browsmer? Is it Shaw against Cousins? Is John Johnson the quarterback? Hurts looks like he's out. Who's the backup? Urs against May. We got to confirm that, and then we bet the hell out of May. Is Stafford the quarterback? So I'm going to read all that. Oladonkin, I guess, for KC. And Smith's hurt, so we probably get Pickett. Herbert's out. Who's the backup against Bo Nix? Golf against Caleb. I assume Golf's because they don't have a backup. Steve Cook against Allen, unless Steve Cook is the backup. He's the third stringer. And then what's Allen? And then Huntley and Rodgers is Lamar. So we really want, if you want Baltimore to win, you want Huntley. If you want Pittsburgh, you want Lamar. So that's what's going on. So again, tonight, Miami, Ohio State, go under. That's your free pick. That's a strong bet. Tomorrow, Oregon, Texas Tech. Oregon 2.5, 52.5. I don't understand why Oregon's the favorite. Take Tech in the points. Alabama and Indiana. I think Indiana's better. Alabama's, they're playing a 10 defense. They're in trouble. And then Mississippi, Georgia. I heard that Mississippi, their assistants are all got their eyes on LSU. I don't know if that's true or not. I just don't think they're going to beat Georgia. If you look at the defenses here, Miami at 12, Ohio State at 8, Oregon at 16, Texas Tech at 10, Alabama 21, Indy at 10, and then Mississippi at 25 and Georgia at 15. I should do a last 5 on those teams and get to it, but I think I don't need to. I saw Miami against Texas A&M. That it's a shame Miami wasn't in the conference championship game and they let Duke in 7-5 Duke. What is that? Just an embarrassment. Texas Tech beat a very strong BYU team who's just as strong as Oregon twice and beat my Utah team. Oregon lost to Indiana and barely beat Iowa at Iowa. Alabama lost 3 games. Georgia, the Florida State game looks really good now. And Indy, undefeated, beat Ohio State. And then Ole Miss lost a couple of games, losing to Georgia, who only lost to Alabama. So that's what you got in these playoffs. We do have Texas State and Rice being the Z team, and Texas State an over team. Probably will take that game. The Navy, Cincinnati, I think Sorsby's out. Go Navy there. And